Welcome everyone to the regular Swanton Village Trustee meeting, Monday, January 13th, 2025, at 7 o'clock. And call to order, pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, number 3, agenda review. Anything to add?
No.
Anything to add? Moving right along. Number 4, public comment. No comment from the public at this time. Number 5, approve and accept minutes from Monday, December 30th, 2024, meeting as presented.
I'll move they be approved as printed.
A second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to approve the meeting minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried to approve the meeting minutes from Monday, December 30th. Number 6, approve and accept village warrants through Thursday, January 9th, 2025.
I move they be approved.
And I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second to approve the warrants through Thursday, January 9th. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Number 7, 2025 budget discussion.
Hi, Lynn.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Wow, coming in strong when I like it.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, really loud.
Sorry I'm not there, but the roads are not great up by my place.
Sure.
Well, you got
So,
that
I haven't-
100% of the 40%,
I haven't- Yeah, I haven't made a lot of changes to this budget draft. So I'll just kind of highlight what I've done.
Okay.
So Lynn, hold on one sec until we share our screen. You should be able to see the screen so we're all on the same page.
Can I
as you.
ask a question?
Perfect.
Ask a question while we're, just because it's been asked by me, by taxpayers, that, why we went with the 4%, increase or cost of living increase instead of like a 3.8 or, you know, some people who are our taxpayers are only getting like a 2.5 or 2% cost of living increase. So I just was wondering what brought the 4%? What was the decision on the 4%?
Bill's busy, isn't he, with Diane?
Yeah.
I can multitask, but go ahead.
That's what I had been told that the town went with. Bill's the one that he and I had discussed, and I had ran it at a couple of different scenarios, and we landed at the 4%.
Okay.
Okay, so then the next question that was proposed to me was, when are we going to stop matching the town in tax increases when we don't have the same grand list that the town has?
It's actually new. We didn't last year. They beat us by 0.5% last year. So we were 3, I think the town was 3.5.
Okay.
So it varies by year. I think the misnomer, without getting into granular details, because the board actually already voted and approved on the 4%.
I'm just bringing up.
Yeah, no, and it's a fair question. I think the misnomer is that we have employees, people might believe they're paid better than they are.
Right.
We have a lot of people in certain positions that are well under $25 an hour. And in most markets, to include neighboring communities, Public Works, for example, other comparisons, they get paid quite a bit more.
Right.
So an extra 0.2% is a very small consideration. I think most importantly too, 2 years ago, we were at 4% of our health insurance. We went to 6%, 8%, 10% in corresponding years. So all employees not only got a 4% increase, they're also responsible for 2% more on their health insurance.
Okay, so that
Which
levels
is
out to a 2% increase.
Pretty significant.
Yep. Okay,
Yep.
thank you. I
Yep,
appreciate
you're welcome.
that explanation.
Very good.
So the Excel spreadsheet is not up yet, Bill.
Oh, it looks like we're sharing our screen, so
Okay, because what I see on my side is Diane's email, but it doesn't matter to me, I'm the only one on, so,
Yeah, it's up to you.
I can go.
So if you
So-
just, if you give us the page, and just to clarify, we talked about this earlier, we believe for the board tonight, we're in a position to approve police, fire, public works, correct?
And general fund,
And
yes.
general fund, okay.
So the budgets that I still have a little bit, because I had to go over some stuff with Bill today, so I don't have water, sewer, or electric completely finished. The other ones I feel they're complete. So I'm on the first page, which is the electric fund. The only thing I have done on here is, compared to draft 2, was the revenue numbers now that year end is done. And I've calculated out, I've got, the audit starts tomorrow, so unbilled revenue, Lori has calculated, so that's in here. So I adjusted some of the revenue numbers, compared to, we don't have a lot of growth, and so I feel like the budget numbers should be pretty close to what our 2024 year-to-date is. And then at the bottom of the page, where maintenance of hydraulic production, I increased that because we've got work that needs to be done at Unit 2. So Dan and Bill had gotten a quote. So some of that is going to be capital, but some of it's maintenance. So I increased the maintenance budget a little bit. I didn't change anything else. So if you go to page 4, at the bottom, you'll see right now we have budgeted a loss for 2025 of $737,600. I'd like to make a comment about, it's a budgeted loss, but with the hydro dam, that can swing our purchase power one way or another quite significantly. So right now, our year-to-date for 2024 is showing that we've got a profit, a marginal profit, but I don't have all of my December power bills in. But we were expecting a loss for this year, so it can swing. If you go to page 5, which is the water fund, I haven't made any changes in this budget since the last draft that you saw. The budget as it stands does not include a rate increase. Page 7 shows that we're expecting a budgeted deficit of $220,260. We're due to have a rate increase. Whether or not you guys choose to want to do it in 2025 or if we want to wait to 2026. They still have a significant amount of money in the bank, so I'm not worried about being able to pay the bills if we want to wait another year, just with all the other costs. But we are getting to the point where we're going to have to think about doing a rate increase in the next couple of years. Page 8.
Lynn, can we just talk about that before we move on?
Yes,
My
Sure.
my recommendation to the board is that you do not ask for a rate increase in water this year.
correct. I think we should wait until 2025.
Or 6.
You mean 2026?
2026, you're right. Sorry. I don't know what year I'm in. My brain.
So page 8 just shows you, this is how I build the rates. So it just shows to cover the budgeted costs, it just shows that we really should have revenue budgeted of 1.1 million versus the 927,000 that we've got. One thing that I did notice is our water consumption dropped a little bit this year. So I don't know if people are conserving more or if like the businesses, I haven't really dived in to see where we're saving water consumption, but it did go down a little bit.
But that could change
Hey.
once Highgate's up and running too.
Right, but we're not gonna have a large load up there for the first couple of years.
Right.
So it'll be a few years down the road before we see a significant impact.
But it won't be a decrease.
Right.
That's a fact.
So page 9 is the sewer department. The only thing I did in here is we made an adjustment in salaries, which I think Bill was gonna talk about a little later. And then the corresponding social security and child tax credit that goes along with that and retirement. Because anytime I adjust wages at all, it does affect our how much we pay into the retirement fund and how much we pay in for social security and the child tax credit. So that fund, we're also seeing not as large of a loss as the water, but it's still page 11 will show it's a negative 134,887. That one also, we've got to think about a rate increase, but it's not, we've got the bond project going on right now. So I think for that one, we can wait because we'll be looking at 2026 to put the bond debt service on for the plant project. So, but we are looking at needing an increase there too.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So the salaries in the electric, water, and sewer also take into consideration whatever percentage of PWD and the front office, correct?
Right, so what we do is, I have a huge wage spreadsheet that actually lists out every employee, what their pay rate is, and what their, like this year we did the 4% rate increase, I build that in. I look at their history for what they've done for overtime, and I build that into the budget. Talk with their department leaders if I don't have a good handle as far as like police department's a good example where a lot of their overtime is grant money. So I have to go to Matt and say, okay, so this officer is calculating out that they're working X number of hours of overtime a week. How much is that coming out of our taxes versus, how many hours a week do they work Stone Garden, for example? So I dial the overtime back. I build in their on-call pay, and all that. So then I spread it out. So the line crew, 99% of the time works only, in the electric department. Dean's department, they have time budgeted in parks, highway, water, and sewer. So they touch about everything except for electric. That being said, when we budget it, that isn't when you see the budget versus the actual, their timesheets reflect what they actually do on a daily basis.
Okay.
So I can budget Dean's guys to work 25% in each department, hypothetically. It doesn't work out that way, but that's, say I budgeted it that way, but they spend 50% of their time in the sewer department this year, 50% of their wages are going to be charged to the sewer department.
Got you.
So that's sometimes where you can see some, some big swings from budget to actual. And we do that with their benefits also. So whatever I budget for percentages for their wages, their benefits follow that way.
Okay.
Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, it does.
And
Okay, perfect.
Lynn, if I can jump in, so a caveat, reminder, Kingsbury Construction, end of contract currently is the very last week of December of 2025. If they extend even another week, the full payment, first payment for the bond extends another year to 2027. So, same thing here, I recommend that we do not do a rate increase in sewer this year, and we do it when the full impact of that first bond payment's gonna be 2026 or 2027.
That makes sense.
Agreed.
So page 12 just shows the same as I did with water, like this is how I calculate their rates. Page 13 is the commercial building fund. The only thing that really runs through here is our CBDG loans. So there's not really much of anything in there. Just for reference purposes, we do have 4 CBDG loans outstanding. We have 2 that are deferred loans that we've had for quite some time that were part of projects that were ran through the state. Then we also, and that was what started the CBDG fund. Then we've got a water plant, or a water line one that we did. We just paid the year 4 payment, so we've got 1 more payment left. And then we have a business that took out a CBDG loan from us during the year. And currently, Heidi and I are working, as you guys are aware, with another entity in Swanton on another CBDG program that will run through our books. Right now, it's unsure if they're gonna have to borrow any of the money from our restricted fund for the CBDG loans, or whether or not it's all gonna be money that's coming from the state that'll flow through our books for this year that we're in.
And just a quick question, the 2 deferred payments,
Yep.
those we're probably never gonna see. Are those, am I correct in that assumption?
So what I have been told is they've been deferred out like 20-something years.
Yep.
What I've been told is that most likely when they come due, because what their due date is it's gonna be a balloon payment, that the state at that point will probably make us transfer them from a loan to a grant. Which, I mean, it's no money out of our taxpayers. It was state money to start with. It's just that much money that won't be able to be revolved in our community.
Right.
But it was never taxpayer money locally. It was all state funds to start with.
Right. Yep, just more for the public, just to understand, that's all.
Yep. Page 14, which is the highway fund. So this one, as you guys are aware, we've got a big paving grant this coming year, and we've got a sidewalk grant. So what I did on this one is the bottom of page 14, where there is maintenance of sidewalks. I left that number, excuse me, where we had originally budgeted it, because with the sidewalk grant, it is a $75,000 grant and a $75,000 match. So some of that can be in kind, which will be our labor, which we have to pay. Some of it is going to be equipment time. So I left in the budget what we normally would put in there, and then we're gonna have some equipment time to be able to use for in-kind also. On page 15, way at the bottom, for the paving, I originally had started the budget at $75,000 for paving. We're gonna need approximately $28,000 for the match. So I reduced the paving budget down to $30,000 for $28,000 for the match, plus another $2,000 for miscellaneous. Dean always has little areas that he needs to, pave a little section here or there. And then the other thing, and we'll need the board to allow us to do this, but Dean had requested plow truck number 3, which is like their backup plow truck. They're actually using it as a regular in the rotation this year, but the plow and the box for that truck needs to be refurbed. And Dean did some, looked into it, and it was cheaper and a better option to refurb the box and the plow than it was to buy a new truck. So there's $45,400 in the budget for equipment. Originally, I had just put that straight into the budget to see, and then looked at where the budget landed. I talked to Dean today, and I talked to Bill about asking the board if we could take that $45,000 out of the equipment savings account that Dean's got, and not have an impact on our ratepayers, or our taxpayers for that amount.
What's our balance?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I know we moved 24,000 into it this year. I don't have my balance sheets here with me at home.
And I think the board's well aware, we've got a bunch of very highly skilled folks that are motivated to do these kind of repairs. It's 40,000 to get multiple years out of a piece of equipment instead of spending a couple
Yeah.
$100,000. Maybe, well, we need baby trucks, they're not as big, but it's still gotta be right up there, 150,
Equipment's up there.
200,000. So this is, and this, it's a good offset to the budget.
Yeah,
Great.
we can make that motion eventually.
So the other piece to the highway is they do have a loss this year, or for 2024, that stems pretty much from all of the overage for the bridge project that wasn't covered by the grant. So we're gonna have to factor that in when we do the tax rate. But adding that and subtracting the 45, I think you'll be happy with where the tax rate ends up when I get to that page.
Yep.
Yep. Big smile when I open that up there. Thank you.
So page 16 is the general fund, which, just for the general public's knowledge, this is basically our complex, and the parks is pretty much everything that runs through here. So this one, I adjusted the grant income and expenses to factor in. I moved all of the ARPA money into 2024 as being received and spent. So I pulled that out of the budget.
Okay.
And that was the only change in general. Page 18 is the fire department. I made no changes here. That budget has stayed the same, I would say, pretty much since version 1 was probably the last change I made. So page 20 is the police department. I made quite a few changes in here. So the first thing I did was, I went to Matt and I'm like, how many, because we have to budget, obviously, all our full-timers. They did a shift on one of the daytime schedules. They moved some people around. So I asked him, I'm like, how many part-time shifts do we really need now? So we came up with a number and I was able to back down the salaries. So right now our salaries are under $900,000 estimated, and that's taken into account, we cut back some of the overtime because some of the overtime that was in the budget, or in the first version, had some grant money in it, we felt. So we've played with those wages a few times now. Along with adjusting the salaries, that also affects the retirement, the Social Security, the child tax, not as significantly because part-timers don't get retirement. The other thing I did was, there's still the open full-time position that we're recruiting for. I moved that from a January start date, which, because we're already past that. Bill and Matt agreed also. An April 1 start date would probably be a better date. So I adjusted the salaries and benefits to reflect an April 1 date, and also changed, when I budget, I tend to budget our benefits at a family plan. And I got thinking about it over the weekend, and I'm like, what's the odds that when they hire somebody in the police department that we're gonna find somebody that wants to make a career change that's already married and has a family? So I adjusted it down to a 2-person plan, figuring that was a happy medium. Thinking that, you're gonna get you most likely are gonna find a younger person to want an entry level. Not to say somebody wants a midlife career change, but looking at the history of who we've hired, most of them are on the younger end of their career. So I made those changes. which made a significant change. I also reduced on page 21, I dropped the training budget, which is called conventions, meetings, and training. I dropped that down to 15,000, realizing that, you know, Matt wants to be able to send people to trainings. With the former schedule we had, it was a little harder to do. But I reduced that down a little bit. I also reduced the equipment replacement fund. In the original drafts, I had brought that up to 20,000, and now reduced it down to 15,000, back to where it was for 2024. And then the final thing that I looked at is they've right now got $134,000-ish profit this year. Don't have all my December accounts payable in yet, but we have a fair share of it in. So it's a matter of if the board wants to return back any of that money. Now remember, the formula we've got with the town is I take the expenses less budgeted income, and then the town and the village split the remaining of the budget, 2/3 and 1/3.
Right.
So on page 21, it's 90,000 is what we were thinking, because we haven't paid everything yet. It's a $60,000 relief on our overall budget. It's a $30,000 relief for the town. 2/3, 1/3.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense.
And Lynn, so we're seeing correctly, page 21, 2024
Yep.
year to date, 1.736 million, correct?
Yes,
Proposed 2025 budget, 1.743 million, and only a difference of $7,000.
So I just
Dish.
I have a couple things on the police budget. I had a taxpayer reach out to me. So we're gonna split this overage at 2/3, 1/3, but we don't split the police budget at 2/3, 1/3.
We do.
But
yes,
if
we
you
do.
Yep. So literally I guess it really doesn't, it's however you phrase it. If we take back 90, the relief is the same. You take 100% of the budget, literally 1/3 of all the shift times are spent in the town. So we
Right.
charge for 1/3 of the chief, 1/3 of the administrative assistant, 1/3 of everything for the Swanton contract.
Okay, so when I looked at last year's numbers and then I looked at what the contract was, it was actually a little shy of 1/3.
Are you taking into account that we do the contract, unfortunately not for the same 12 months? So for example, if you look
Okay.
at page 20, the town of Swanton police contract reflects $478,000. But their contract starts on April 1st, and
Okay.
it covers a portion of the following year.
Gotcha.
So it's a bit confusing.
Yep.
Maybe we should fix that someday. But,
Also,
yeah.
that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But the-
That's what threw me and the person I was
Yes.
talking to off, was
Yes.
when you looked at it, it was like, well, are we sharing exactly 2/3, 1/3 is,
Right.
to include dispatching, chief's time, all that stuff, is that, and so we are. That's what
We
you're
are,
telling me.
and we're really, to cover a couple things, we're really taking advantage of the vacancy savings that we weren't, and we're never gonna lower our standards, so we passed on a couple of people. We didn't hire, we're carrying that forward to the benefit of both the town and the village. Additionally, probably we're a year away from a cruiser, didn't wanna put that in here, but this is literally 0.3% of an increase, despite salary increases, massive liability, workers' comp insurance, and a massive increase in dispatch contracts.
Okay,
But despite all that, because of the carry forward, I say it with a caveat, if we hire somebody, we're not gonna have this carry forward relief next year. But it's incredibly good news compared to where we were with an increase like this. It's essentially level funded.
so the town contract goes from 1 April to 31 March?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I have in the budget is the 478,117, which is 3 months of the current contract, 9 months of the next contract.
Right.
And looking to see if $519,137 will be the proposed contract for 2025/2026 for the town.
Got it.
So Kate,
Sorry.
Page-
Lynn, clarification, is that before the 30,000 or after?
It'd be before.
Before.
that
Before.
is before.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So page 22 is the estimated tax rates. So on general, we see that, excuse me, the 2025 estimated tax rate is 0.1176, which is just over a penny increase over 2024's actual. The fire department is 0.0564, which is a little bit higher than it was. Theirs was driven by, one, the rent for the building went up. Everybody's property insurance in the village went up. Their workman's comp insurance, because they're with an assigned risk group, because they're volunteers, we didn't see an increase in. And they had proposed to put more money into their equipment savings, because they know they've got a fire truck coming down the road in a couple of years that they're gonna need to do something about. The police department, and this is taking into account us returning back $60,000 towards 2025's budget and giving the town a $30,000 reduction. Their tax rate will go to 0.5998, which is barely, it's almost level funded, because they were at 0.5962. And then the highway department, for their budget, factoring in, adding in their loss, and then reducing for the 45,000 that we'll take out of equipment savings, if you guys so wish, would bring their tax rate to 0.4556, up from 0.4126. If we don't take that 45,000 out of the savings account, instead of a 4-cent increase, it will be about a 7-cent increase. So overall, all these changes is an increase of 0.641 on the tax rate. So it would be 1.2294 versus 1.1653. Which on a $250,000 house is $160.21 of an increase.
So, and I know this is version 3. We've gone from 20% to 12.5% to 5.5%.
Kudos.
I don't know where else we can cut.
Yeah, no, it's very nicely done, Lynn, for sure.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
The final page I wanted you guys to see is page 24. And that is the estimated, this is the equipment that everybody in each of the departments has come up with that is built in to the budgets that they need. If you can notice the electric department as of right now is, we got a lot of work up at the hydro plant that I know we're working on, hopefully securing a grant for some of that. There's a bucket truck in here. I threw in 425,000 as a placeholder. I know Dwayne's got his 3 quotes. That truck, if you guys so wish, will get ordered in 2025. It would not arrive until sometime in 2026, hopefully. But it depends, they're saying builds are shorter now. but sometimes these trucks are out 2 years versus 1. The other big ticket item we've got, it's all in the electric department, but it will, when we actually start paying the bills, will move into water and sewer a little bit, is the AMI project.
Yeah, sure.
We have started working on it. They are putting up the towers for the DCUs, actually putting some of them up. Water meters, I believe, are ready to be ordered and can start being installed once we receive them. The electric meters, we're waiting on the first article meters to test them because we're the first VEPSA member that's doing this. So we have to test all of the original meters to make sure that the example or the subset of meters that are ordered is actually what they needed. Once that test is done, it opens it up so that all the utilities can start ordering their meters. We won't see them till what, fall maybe, Bill?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay,
October.
we're crossing our fingers.
Of this year.
Yes.
Great.
I'm ready. My water meter makes noise.
Oh, it doesn't?
Yep. Click, click, click. Only when you use water.
So that's where I'm at with the budgets. I feel like all of them except for water, sewer, and electric are in a final state and can be approved if you guys wish. And then we'll bring the water and sewer and electric ones to you guys in the next week or two.
So which four could we approve?
Highway, fire.
So we could
general,
do highway, general,
Fire, police.
fire, and police. All the ones that are related to property taxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's gonna be nice and quiet. I'm gonna make the motion that we do approve them as is.
All right.
Both for the police,
I'll second
fire,
that.
highway in general.
Okay, so we have a first and second to approve these budgets for the ones that are affected by property taxes. Do we have any further discussion? Other than thank you very much, Lynn, for great work on these numbers.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried to approve those budgets for 2025.
Lynn,
Yes,
Lynn,
thank
can
you
I-
very much, Lynn. It's,
Yeah.
Your
You're
work on
welcome.
this is, your work and everybody else's work is greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
You and your team, phenomenal effort. You've been here every weekend, no days off. Way to whittle that budget down. Need one more favor. As you know, I'm gonna be having a lot of fun in a dentist chair tomorrow morning. Can you send
I know.
send all fire department and police department details, approved budgets to Brian Savage, either now or tomorrow morning?
Yep, I can do that.
Do you want me to format them first, Lynn? Like I
What,
usually-
Diane?
Do you want me to format those budgets like I usually do first before I send it over?
Yeah, so I will, I'll get that to you first thing in the morning. Just as another, thing for the board, our auditors are showing up at 7:30 tomorrow morning. And, we'll be working through the rest of the week. Just so you guys are aware, they usually work till like 6:30 at night, so, if you guys drive by and there's lights on in the auditorium, you know, after 4 o'clock, they're probably still in there working.
We will leave you alone.
All right,
We'll send those over in the morning.
Yes, but again, nice job to you and your team, and
Yeah,
it will not go unnoticed.
I was
thank you.
very happy to see that log on today. Okay, so this ends budget discussion?
As far as we're concerned.
Oh, yeah.
With smiles on our faces. Okay. Number 8, review and approve updated water ordinance.
So, I emailed you guys some of the changes that we had gone through. I worked with girls in the office, mostly Lori, who works with all the rates and stuff. There was just some old language that really needed to be cleaned up. plus going with AMI changes that we're doing. So the brief description of that was just cleaning up our definitions. Hold on, let me get my paper right here. So, for the water, it was definitions, the use of Swanton Village water system and water rates and charges sections. And made it more clear that the water ordinance is actually the water rules and regulations ordinance. It's not two separate things.
Right.
And that was kind of unclear. So just clean that up, better language, easier to understand, and then reflects some changes in ownership, like the village will now own the meters after AMI.
Yep.
So that's all the changes on the water ordinance.
Right.
So we're gonna do them separately, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I move that we approve the updated water ordinance as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to approve the updated water ordinance. Any further discussion?
Yes. Do we need to be in water commissioners to do this?
It's an ordinance, I don't think so.
No, because
I'm only checking.
we're the governmental body of ordinances.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Right, because in my blurb that goes into the messenger, it'll say that these ordinances are made pursuant to and in conformity with the charter of Swanton Village
Right.
as
Okay.
amended in
Yeah.
accordance
Okay.
with the state.
Just wanna make sure we're
Yep,
doing it right.
thanks, Phil.
Gotcha.
You know, take effect in about 30 days.
So, no, the effect date will be, the public has 44 days to petition, and then day 60, they'll become effective, so it'll be March 14th.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we have a first and a second, and discussion finished. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried to approve the updated water ordinance. Number 9, review and approve updated park ordinance.
So again, on the park ordinance, I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation, but Takahanga Park,
No, that's good.
Takahanga is no longer owned by the Village of Swan, and that actually changed when Gordon Winters bought Memorial Ace Hardware property. So we took that location out and we added Taylor Drive, which is a small triangular park at the very beginning of Taylor Drive. The village maintains that, mows it, trims trees, so, and Susie said if you Google it, it states us as owner, that was it on the park ordinance.
Will we approve the park ordinance as presented?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to approve the updated park ordinance. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried to update the park ordinance. Moving along, number 10, review and approve updated parking ordinance.
Parking ordinance, a little bit different, we changed, hang on, parking was, we added back in, a few years back when we updated all of our ordinances, all of them. In the parking ordinance, there was restricted 2-hour parking, mostly in the downtown square, York Street, Canada, Grand Avenue. We put that back in. All the signs were still left up in the village, but yet there wasn't an ordinance to enforce it. So same language as before, we added that 2-hour parking back in, and we also changed, no vehicle shall park on the southerly end of Church Street alongside the village green or the town clerk's office. So we added in that little section, and there's a sign
Where
there,
that sign?
Yep.
Yeah.
and that was it on the parking.
I'll move that we approve the parking ordinance.
I'll
Revised.
second.
All right, we have a first and a second to approve the parking ordinance. Any further discussion?
Just one quick. PD's going to enforce the 2-hour? Are we gonna be able to do that?
There's some further work to do with,
Okay.
signage, putting it at an eye level. There's some work to be done. The answer is yes, they'll enforce any ordinance that's valid.
Okay,
But I do think we gotta do some enhanced signage in
Enhancement.
places.
Okay. thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, first and a second, and a nice discussion completed. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried to approve the updated parking ordinance. Thank you, Diane.
Just empty it.
What's that?
You always give me a spare.
And all these will be effective March 14th.
March 14th.
All three, right?
Yep.
Number 11, appoint representative to the Northwest Communications Union District Legislative Body for 2025.
So the same individual, Larry King, he's a Swanton Village resident, is interested in being reappointed. He is the current representative now for us and said he would continue that if you so choose.
What is this?
So the Northwest Communications Union District is, they work on bringing internet capabilities and fiber to small towns that don't have it. Up in the Northeast Kingdom, you know, just these little small communities that don't have any fiber or internet capabilities, they're working on bringing that
Okay.
to those communities.
If I remember correctly, there was some areas in Franklin County that still don't
So
have
when they came
effective
in
internet
and
connections.
talked about
And
kids
I'm
trying
not
to
sure
do
how kids can
schoolwork
do their schoolwork
without internet.
sometimes.
Right. True.
I think they come down and use libraries.
COVID.
Okay.
Okay.
I move that we appoint Larry King as the representative for the Northwest Communications Union District Legislative Body.
I'll second it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, we have a first and a second to approve Larry King for the Communications Legislative Body, 2025. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried to approve Larry King for the Communications Union District Legislative Body for 2025. Thank you. Number 12, discussion of Swanton Village Annual Report.
So this year, I received some quotes on printing the annual report because, well, we went with a new company last year and it just didn't pop. So, the jail actually did our books for years and years and years, the print shop at, the correctional facility, which the state shut down. So we went with this company, and as you can see, the town book is beautiful with a nice glossy cover and a beautiful square edge. And then they stapled our book, and it's very matte and dull, and so, anyways, we went out to bid, and we got some really good bids back, but the company who printed our books last year increased their charge by over almost $2,000. So it went from $3,100 a year to $4,600. He ended up calling me the next day and said he went a little high on something, but it was still a really high increase. Ended up getting a few other quotes. One company was over $6,000. One I haven't heard back from. But the best news was Repro Graphics, which we used years ago. $3.44 a book. It came to like $2,400. If we sign a 3-year contract, it reduces by 100 to 2 each year. So in 3 years, it's actually cheaper than it is this year.
Wow.
The question was, so, you know, and then they did the towns. That's who prints the town, which is a beautiful book. So we know they do good work, we have it. The question was, do we continue to mail them or put them in drops like the town does? So I talked to Brian, and they distribute 1,200 copies, which we only have a total of 800 printed. I mail about 600 to village residents, village taxpayers. So he said on the first round of drops, he's leaving 800 books in all over Swan. Well, if I tried to match that, there's my 800 books, and I just think town taxpayers who go to get a town book and an MVU book would take a village book. I think my recommendation would be that we continue to mail our books to the village taxpayers.
I think so.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And we have a stack here, we have a stack at the town office. We're still saving money, so
I agree.
last year's cost to print the book was like $3,200 plus $400 or $500 for mailing.
That's
This
cheaper.
year, because I had her only quote me on 700, I need 800 books, so it's gonna be about 2,700 plus mailing. I think we're still cheaper than we were last year. And it'll only decrease because of that 3-year contract. So there's quite a change in how we're doing things, different company, great quality. but the big question was mailing versus drop, and that's what I read.
Yeah, I prefer mail.
I agree, man.
I think it's personal.
Well, and I create
Yeah.
the labels from the actual checklist. So like Susie and her husband wouldn't each get a book, I know that's a family, so,
Right.
you know, you
Right.
gotta go through it, and we mail about 600, so it's been working pretty good. I don't get a lot returned at the post office, so.
So yeah,
So do we need a
broken down to
motion to
household.
enter into a 3-year agreement, or do we just,
Well,
I would.
yeah,
I
I mean,
would.
it wouldn't hurt to have it.
I would.
so, okay. So I'll make the motion that we enter into a 3-year agreement with Repro Graphics for printing of the annual report.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a first and second to go with Repro Graphics for a 3-year contract to do the annual reports. Any further discussion?
And have the village manager sign or village clerk sign whatever is necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Hmm?
Motion carried. Thank you, Diane. And number 13, village manager update.
How's everybody doing?
So far, good.
Gonna be medium tonight, medium. So, you all have a nice, big color org chart in front of you.
Yeah, we do.
So it'll be featured again, this is,
It's a poster.
this is updated, you got poster size, that's yours to keep. The only thing that we need to change, but I do want you to just put eyes on when you get a chance. This will go again in part of the report. I like the visual aspect of it. Will it be color?
Guess what?
Color?
Yes, because this new company,
I love this
I've
job,
got-
right there, color.
color on the outside cover, inside cover, back and front. I said, Bill, that's where we'll put the org chart.
And it's less money.
All right, I feel better now. The only little update is in that middle section, we no longer call our linemen, they're line technicians, so that'll be updated. But again, 42 full-time employees, 8 part-time, 24 volunteer fire department members, and all listed here on the org chart. So, yours to keep, it'll be part of the report that goes out, which is nice. Couple requests if possible. You know, we like to schedule our leadership team to come in to present. It's already a full schedule, but when I built this schedule, we realized that there are 2 trustee meetings that fall on holidays. Just want permission to move the Memorial Day holiday one from 5/26 to Tuesday 5/27. And then on 10/13, it happens to fall on Columbus Day, Indigenous People Day. We would like to move that to October 14th.
Got it?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You need a motion? Are you good? Okay. Reminder that here in this room, we'll have a joint planning session with the planning committee, select board, and trustees. So we'll have this table, we'll leave it where it is, we'll do big wings. I expect probably a pretty good crowd. You all received the zoning bylaw rewrite, a couple hundred pages. 1:22 at 5:30 here in this room, so just a reminder on that. Additionally, we got a pretty cool opportunity to host a commerce and community development, economic development meeting here in the room, so if you wanna take one of these and pass it down.
I didn't hear about this one yet.
So as a reminder, this is the group that came in and did a community forum walkthrough with us, and the very next day awarded us an extra $800,000 toward our wastewater plant and that project. So really good community partners to have. They're doing a rewrite for their consolidated plan from 2025 to 2029. So they'll come in here. They're sponsored by Tim Smith's crew, Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation. They do the beverages, should be a full room. We want to make sure, I think I sent it to Brian. If I didn't, I'll make a note to make sure he has it. But as many people as possible in the room to talk about that program and what lies ahead in that area. So the only caveat is, and correct me if I'm wrong, if more than one trustee
Yeah.
is here, we gotta warn it. So,
I'm working, so.
okay. So if it's gonna be 2 of you, it's all right, as long as we know, we just gotta
Well,
warn it.
Are you talking village business?
We might.
You don't make
Gina,
any
you
motions.
gonna wanna come, or do you want me to come?
I'm such a rule stickler. You just tell me if you're both gonna come, let us know tomorrow, and we'll figure it out. We'll figure out if we got a
I'll have
warrant
to
or not.
check. Don't know.
The answer is, I'm not sure
Okay.
if we have to warn it, but I would like to err on the side of caution if
Yep, I
it's
would
free to
too.
warn.
Well, you could warn it, and nobody show up.
It's true. Grants,
Be the
so
first time.
Nope.
there's gonna be a few things, additional things related to grants tonight. The first one is, we officially received a grant for the EV chargers after all that time. Grants administered by Green Mountain Power. So these are tier 3 fast chargers, 2 of them. Each one has 4 ports, so 4 dedicated parking spots at 74 Merchants Row at a installation time to be determined. To think they're gonna be in there this year might be a little ambitious. So the grant is $149,502. It does require a 5% match, or roughly $7,868.55. However, that can 100% be in kind, and I can guarantee we will meet that through our electric department and our public works. That's not a tough match to meet.
Right.
So, again, the whole purpose is, these fast chargers, we really wanna take advantage of the economic development opportunity and have people stop by, whatever they do downtown,
Yep.
25 to 30 minutes. If you're empty, you're fully charged, and you're on your way.
And
So
you
plenty of
said-
time
and
to
you
have
said-
lunch.
And their payer.
They're payers, so people are aware, because we had the issue out here. We are in the process, much like any other VEPSA electric entity, working through the PUC to establish a fair and equitable charging rate, where you don't necessarily want to make money, but you don't want to provide free electricity. So it's set up with a system that's not proprietary, any credit cards used, and the rate is established based upon a number of factors, but we will not lose money on this deal.
Well, that's good.
It's okay.
While we're talking about the chargers, we still have not heard back. We're looking for the same thing, free, full functionality level 2s like we had here that are broken, to put 2 here, 4 ports, 4 parking spots at our complex here at 120. So, all charge, yep, everything's the same. And to meet grant requirements in the state of Vermont, you can't bring in certain vendors that are proprietary with their software anymore. It's gotta be somebody that can just take any credit card swipe, so anybody can show up and use it. You don't have to be a member.
So the charges would be determined by the PUC?
Correct.
Okay. Surprised AOT wasn't involved in that.
I think they might be to some degree. Everybody's allowed to comment. I think it's just based upon what your rate structures are.
Right.
And again, I'm not an expert
Yeah.
in level 3 fast charging, because it
No.
does use more kilowatt hours.
Yeah,
It's
no,
a
I'm
different
sure,
formula.
yeah.
But there's a
I'm
guy
just
from the
wondering
state of
if
Vermont
the-
that goes around and checks.
Yes.
Make
Well-
sure you have your rates listed on the chargers, because they stopped here one
Mhm.
time.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I only bring that up because, AOT is watching and they're losing funding because all these electric cars aren't paying
Correct.
gas tax.
Right.
So,
Yep.
are they gonna fix it? So
I think they will.
I think they will.
Needs to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but
Who knows?
it's in the mix, and it will be free to us. We'll be utilizing other people's money,
Yep.
which is the best kind of money to use. So switching over to Swanton Village Electric, for the second month out of 12, pleased to report 0 power outages during the month of December.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh.
very nice.
I didn't know that.
So it happened twice this year. Ironically, it happened in March of last year, of all months, winter months. March and December were 0 outages. So, and overall for the year, we're well below industry standard for power outages. I think everybody is acutely aware of that and how well we perform. So we continue to make significant progress on the installation of the DCU units as part of the AMI project. Literally all DCUs, there are 14 total. The ones that are pole mounted were finished today. The tower mounts are to go. We anticipate the majority of the progress this year for AMI. It's a 26-week delay in ordering the meters. So when we can, we'll order all 3,800 3819, whatever it is, we'll order it once. So that's gonna be the delay there. For our next meeting, we will have a presentation because, of course, your president and one of the trustees, Trustee Kelleher, are on this committee for looking at the alternatives for next door, for moving the electric department. I mean, I think everybody here is well aware it's exactly what the community asked us to do, to find a much more reasonable, cost-efficient, and effective methodology. So next meeting, we'll have Weeman Lamphere Architects as well as Connor Contracting come in, present the project to the trustees. In the event that you support and sign off on it becoming a balloted item, then we, at least in anticipation of that possibility, we identified 4 public forums. I was gonna say 36 to see what you would do to me. But only
I would
4.
just stare at you.
4 public, I can't believe you let me do that last year. 4 public forums. 2 of those are gonna be on trustee meeting dates. I've sent them to you. We'll really get the word out to the public. February 10th, trustee meeting, 7 PM. Friday, or Saturday, February 15th at 1 PM. Wednesday, February 19th at 6 PM. And then we'll do our final public information presentation when we do our joint presentation with the town here on the 24th. Because I think that's when we're gonna have our best opportunity to put as many people in the room as possible.
That's the best one.
So, even as late as today, we are working on the final figures for next week. So we're not there yet, or 2 weeks, I should say, 2 weeks from today. We will be ready in 2 weeks to have that, amount so that you can decide if we're gonna move forward or not.
Are we all on board with this? We're on board?
I am.
You're on?
We have to
You're on
do,
board?
No property tax solution.
just a comment, you know, we have to do something.
Yeah, we have to do something. I just wanna make sure we're all on board. That's my whole spiel. We're all on board, we're gonna do this united. So, that's how I wanna do it.
It
And I-
makes the most sense.
I'm not trying to
financially.
sell it right now, but as a reminder, we're very close to moving up from the 3rd lowest utility in the state of Vermont. We're gonna pass Orleans, because they've gone double digits right now.
Oh, no kidding.
We're gonna come really close to passing Ludlow. We would likely have to raise rates in 2026 or 2027, one of those, or a combination of those 2. But we will be able to have, not at the next meeting, the next meeting's go, no go, but during the first public meeting, we will be able to articulate what we think would be the rate increase impact on our citizens. The
Okay.
formula's much different, 3,819 ratepayers versus X number of village citizens. So it is a different formula. Lynn definitely wants to speak.
Yeah.
She's on the screen. Love it.
For it.
So just to clarify that, what we will get for rate increase percentage will be just related to the bond, because we're not gonna ask BEPSA to run us the full rate case of what, changes in purchase power and changes in any of our operating and maintenance expenses. It would be just the percentage because of the bond. Because a rate case for the rest of it would happen no matter, those numbers are what they are no matter what.
Right.
While I have your attention, I do want to mention, I looked today when I was doing my final review for the audit. So in 2024, I mean, as you guys are aware, our line crew goes out and does mutual aid whenever other utilities ask. So I was just, as I was doing my review, added up, because last year we did a significant amount. We brought into our electric utility $112,000 that we billed other utilities for outage work that we went into their service territory and completed. That wasn't pure profit, because obviously we had to pay our crews. But it was $112,000 worth of revenue. And we did work for Vermont Electric Co-op, Green Mountain Power, the Village of Enosburg, are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head that we mutual aided for.
So we'll have a really good estimate on what the impact will be
Good.
at that point.
Okay, well, that's necessary.
Critical.
And that'll be a decade with no rate increase.
8 years.
8 years?
Well, if we
It doesn't
wait
go
2
into
more
place till
years.
2026.
Correct.
Right.
Yep, 2016, we're the longest standing non-rate increase of any VEPSA entity that I know of, Lynn.
As of right now, I believe you're right, because I think, because Orleans has filed, they were the ones that were about that same length of time.
Right.
So I think we're probably, and it'll probably be, so if we do the bond vote and get a favorable bond vote in 2025, I'll go right out to the bond bank, because they'll have a summer pool. So the first year you pay interest only in November, and then the following year you pay your spring and fall interest plus your first principal payment, is the way they're structured.
Okay.
So yeah, could easily be 10 years between rate increases.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's,
So Susie and David have been on the committee with you.
Correct. And of course, Dwayne, Lynn.
And, yeah,
Dwayne, Darren,
so
Lynn.
being that they're not here, what is your take on the building at this point?
I think it's great. It's very cost effective, it's very, well, definitely linear. But meets the, I think, needs and purposes, and quite a value
Yep.
compared to last year's proposal, and,
It meets our 50-year goal.
oh yeah.
What about you?
I think it's a great building, and I think it's gonna, you know, allow for us to grow if we need to.
Cool.
Yep, and cost effectively allow us to have much more space here,
Yep. Good,
so,
good. Well, I appreciate you guys doing it. I've not, so,
yeah.
you know,
I
Yeah,
think
it's been a
you'll-
lot of work.
it's,
Yeah.
I'm sure it has. I'm sure it has, so I
I hope people will be
appreciate
happy
you
with
guys
it.
taking charge of that.
Yeah. We won't spoil all the surprises. but
Oh, don't wanna do that.
Presentation goes.
Any other questions on the electric part before I move to hydroelectric?
No.
Okay. So I wish I had good news. It's continuing struggles at hydroelectric. Taking advantage of opportunities to really learn about turbines. You're well aware that Unit 2 has been down for some time. It remains down. We have a concept. We're finalizing a contract for people to come in and take care of that. It's a vibration in the unit. We're pretty confident that we can get that up and running. Everything when I say about up and running now is with a goal of spring runoff. We're not spilling at all. We're maxing out production at around 4.7 to 5.6 megawatts when we can peak. So we're meeting as much demand, and it's so important. ISO New England's rates are skyrocketed, so the more we can produce and meet the demands of our grid, the better off we're gonna be keeping our rates low. So that plan is in place. I'm gonna jump around a little bit. We are currently applying, when I say we, I mean Heidi, found an opportunity with the state of Vermont. We're gonna apply for $60,000 to develop a capital improvement plan, just specific, very granular for our update needs at the hydro plant.
Just for hydro?
Just for hydro, just specific whether, you know, we're applying for a grant for exciters. We know that's $1 million or 250,000 each for the 4 exciters, depending on if we get funding. If not, we'll wait. But we can only wait so long. If we can't fire the turbines up, they don't generate, we don't have these low rates. We don't enjoy producing 80% of our own energy. So with this plan, we want to identify up to 60,000 to pay Celeste Fay, that new subject matter expert we found, who has been incredible, very helpful, and so far helpful for free. So the other unit that's down and has been down for a little bit now, about a week, is Unit 3. So, you know, that's the number 2 producer, 3.5 megs, capable, a real workhorse. It is 68 years old now. 9 bolts at the bottom of the carriage housing snapped, causing a vibration. When we took them out, many probably have snapped 30, 40, 50 years ago. No way of knowing.
Yeah.
So if you remember that unit, it used to be teak wood. Was the bearing, and it worked great for years. That started to fail, so about 3 years ago, they replaced the bearing and they put a modified bearing, but it's like 4 feet up the drive shaft, the turbine shaft. And we think that might be the root cause. It might be just misplaced, causing enough vibrations to make it fail. So
Oh, yeah.
I have pictures on my phone after, so you can kind of see.
So it's leveraging.
It's a massive team effort. Here's what I like a lot of things about this organization, but when everybody needs help, I don't care where you work, they're in that hole, they're welding, they're grinding, they're tapping, everything to get this thing done. There's 3 or 4 more bolts that they gotta figure out how to get out. So the interesting thing is, based upon this, Dan's workload has been tremendous. And if you remember, Dan is trying to, on a volunteer basis, Dan Chevalier, run the fire department. And that's kind of like a part-time gig, what he does for fun. And that's his, he really enjoys it and he does a great job. His full-time role is hydro supervisor and maintenance supervisor. Here's what I love about this organization. This one just floored me. They reached out over the weekend, they being he and Jason Starr. And Dan said, I need to give up some responsibilities and we gotta modify the way that we're doing business to be as efficient and effective as possible. I need to just concentrate on hydro. Jason Starr is perfectly, uniquely qualified to be the maintenance supervisor. So when the current maintenance supervisor says it's gotta be this guy, who is our most gifted mechanically, who has the highest certification in the state of Vermont for water and sewer, and they come in collaboratively at 9:30 this morning with a plan of how they're gonna move forward, then we embraced it. There's just nothing better. I went up there at 3 o'clock today during a brief break here, and there's like 7 people in that hole. And it's just a thing of beauty. So still gotta identify the root cause. We're not out of the woods. We can find, ready for this, you can remake these 67-year-old guide bearings, thrust bearings out of teak wood. Problem is, then you gotta reintroduce your old watering system that you have, because they gotta be wet all the time. That's just so they don't burn up. So,
That's right, that's how they're lubricated.
So,
but the
back to
rule,
organic?
we might go back to organic, because that's what our expert says. You know what? Sometimes when you take a modern fix and you try to reintroduce it to something that's 67 years old, it might not work as good as the original.
Yeah.
Problem is, the teak in the original is a mess. Can't reuse it. They're soaking them to try to test it
Right.
and try to revive them. They're doing that right now. But
Yeah.
so if you want to see, there's pictures. But now is the time if you want to pop up there and go in the hole at Unit 3 and see how much is involved in all this stuff. It's good stuff. So that's what's happening there. Move on to wastewater. Wastewater on time, on budget. It's a nuanced project. We're still 1 year away from completion. And the progress is slow on purpose, and no, we don't have the centrifuge ready to go. I anticipate the question, and
Good anticipation.
I gotta tell you, I think
Have a
the
fabricator for the part?
centrifuge was supposed to be first. Centrifuge is likely going to be in the final 4 months of the project, is my guess. So again, for those of you out there, that centrifuge is our ability to dewater our sludge and then land apply it. And the inability to do that just means that there's sludge depths that are growing in the lagoon that ultimately we're gonna have to take care of 10 years from now at pretty significant cost. But if the town wants to take over just the lagoon, the trustees might be okay if you want the right side lagoon.
We'd have to have discussion.
No, the right one. No,
We'd have to have
Just-
discussion.
No,
just
no,
the-
the right one. It's
Just the
left
right one.
side.
We're okay with the left one. The water crew is busy. They're starting the installation of those 12 chemical pumps that are new, replacing the 12-year-old ones that are causing us fits. So it's, oddly enough, it's compatibility with wiring to get those up and running, and they'll do them one at a time and make sure that they're working. So that's a project for sure. Public Works, so really busy lately, as you can imagine. I'm sure they'll be back out tomorrow morning. A little bit of a different nuance this year. I think you may or may not recall, but we've purchased a little bit more liquid than we have in the past. And by applying liquid, Dean tells me that he's reduced his call-outs by 3 or 4 already this early in the season.
Wow.
Okay.
Because it's working effectively. So
That's
that's a
brine.
change for us.
Is that the
Yeah.
brine?
Yeah.
It's a brine-like solution. I'd have to get details on exactly what's in it. I mean,
Okay.
but it's working and it's
Yeah.
been effective.
Saving us money.
Yep, it is. And you know, when they're not out there, as you know, they are truly like MacGyver.
Oh,
And
God,
they're
they
just
are.
doing projects in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sparks flying, welding, grinding.
All
It's like,
day.
yeah, all day long. But that's their thing. So
Yep.
it's been pretty good.
And it's fun to go and see what new things they're building back there. I just, hey guys, what are you building?
Pretty
I
smelly
think
shop
that's great.
occasionally, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
Solid
kudos to
problem. Fantastic.
the front office pros, whether it's accounting, whether it's Diane's team. I can't believe the number of people that come in our house each day looking for services, and it's been good. You know, we'll save the police department for next time, Matt's coming in on the 27th, but, as you know, they've been right out straight as well. The drug trade is alive and well, and the demand for that, so overall, fantastic team. You got a really good crew. You made a mistake hiring me, but they're good. The rest of them are good. That's all I have.
So we'll give you another 5 years.
Take it easy over there. Don't get out of control.
Well, fantastic, everybody, and thank you, Jason and Dan. Any other necessary business? Number 14.
I got nothing.
I
Nothing?
would like to congratulate our line technician Tanner on his new baby daughter.
Oh, very
Yes,
cool.
I didn't know
congratulations.
that.
And what do we look like for Martin Luther King Jr. Day? What are our hours of operation? We should just probably let people
We
know.
booked it.
We are. Okay.
Yeah, we're open 7:30 to 4.
All right, we're open. What about the town? What are you guys doing for Martin Luther King Jr. Day?
Great question, I don't have the answer for you.
That's all I have.
I got one shout out to TDI for the loaning of the warming hut for the skating rink at the rec park. That was fantastic, and Roger Chauvin for getting that going.
I have one thing. I think a lot of people know already that I am not seeking to be, returned as a trustee. I've done it for several years. I've enjoyed it. There's one heck of a good team here, and I'm gonna miss the people. But because of certain circumstances at my home, I have to curtail. I almost, I considered resigning back in August and September when my wife was so good, if you wish, to have a surgery, and things didn't work out very well at all. And she has not increased or gotten better, and I've got to have my knees fixed. But I persisted. I didn't resign then. I wanted to finish my term. But that's the news.
Thank you, Eugene, for all dedicated years of service and for the fantastic work this last year.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We're gonna have cake for you next time.
Cupcakes or something, but fantastic, and yeah, thank you, Eugene.
You're welcome.
It was sad to hear, but
I'll be here.
good. That's the end of any other business. Any executive sessions, discussions?
No need for
We're
mine.
free tonight?
We're free tonight.
You're kidding.
All right.
Move we adjourn?
I second, before anybody changes their mind.
Okay, I'm a first and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All in favor? Adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Just a comment. I think this is the first meeting in a heck of a long time that we haven't had executive
That's
session.
why I did it.
I think it's the only one.
I mean, I don't have
Could be wrong.
records in my pocket.
Rare.